You know that feeling, right? You're driving along, minding your own business, and then, boom, the check engine light comes on. It's that universal symbol for, this is probably going to be expensive. But what if we could actually decode what it's trying to tell us? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do.
See, that little light isn't just some random warning. It's really the start of a story, a clue in a mechanical mystery. So let's put on our detective hats and solve the case of one of the most common codes your car can throw at you.
Every good mystery kicks off with a clue, and for your car, that light is the very first one. It's the symptom, the sign that something under the hood just isn't working the way it's supposed to. So when that light pops on, your car's brain, what's called the Engine Control Module, or ECM, it stores a very specific diagnostic trouble code. And the code we're digging into today? It's P0430.
Now, to understand the code, first we have to get to know the system it's pointing to, and that's the emissions control system. You can basically think of it as the lungs for your car, responsible for cleaning up all the gunk in the exhaust before it gets out into the atmosphere.
So let's break this down. It's actually a pretty simple idea when you look at it. You've got dirty exhaust gas flowing out from the engine. It flows past a before sensor. Then it goes through this thing called the catalytic converter to get cleaned up, and then it passes an after sensor. And all the while, the ECM, the car's brain, is watching everything.
And the real hero of this whole system is the three-way catalyst, or as most people call it, the catalytic converter. Its whole job is to take all those harmful pollutants from the engine and, through some clever chemistry, turn them into way less harmful stuff like carbon dioxide and water. It's basically your car's own personal air purifier.
But how does the car's brain even know if that catalyst is doing its job? Well, it uses two little lookouts, a pair of oxygen sensors that are constantly reporting back what they see.
Think of it like this. Sensor 1 is the before lookout. It's sitting upstream, right in the path of the raw, dirty exhaust, which makes its signal jump all over the place. Sensor 2 is our after lookout. It's sitting downstream, measuring the nice, clean exhaust. Now, if the catalyst is working right, this sensor signal should be much more stable. The car's computer is constantly comparing these two signals to see just how good of a cleaning job is getting done.
Okay, so with all that in mind, we can finally figure out what our error code, P0430, is actually trying to tell us. So here's the official, super technical definition. It's kind of a mouthful, I know, but it's pointing to something very specific about the difference between those two sensor readings we just talked about.
And here's what that actually means in simple terms. The car's brain has noticed that the signal from that after sensor is jumping around like crazy, almost perfectly mimicking the before sensor. And that tells it one thing. Not much cleaning is actually happening inside that catalyst. The air purifier isn't purifying.
Okay, and this is where our little detective story really takes a turn. We've got our main piece of evidence, that P0430 code, and it seems to point the finger directly at one culprit. But is the case really that simple? I mean, logically, yeah. If the catalyst isn't cleaning the exhaust, well then, the catalyst must be bad. That's the conclusion a lot of people jump to, and it often leads to a really expensive repair.
But hold on, it's not always the case. That P0430 code tells you the symptom that the catalyst isn't working efficiently, but it doesn't necessarily tell you the root cause. So here's the key takeaway. That catalytic converter, it's just one suspect in a much larger lineup. Things like an exhaust leak, an air leak somewhere else, a bad fuel injector, even just a worn-out spark plug. All of these can throw off the engine's whole chemistry. That sends the wrong mix of gases into the exhaust, which makes a perfectly good catalyst unable to do its job, and it ends up framing it for the crime.
And this is exactly why just reading the code isn't enough. You can't just accuse the first suspect you see, right? A good mechanic, just like a good detective, knows they have to investigate everything thoroughly before they make a final call. You see, a proper diagnosis is a methodical process. It starts with easy stuff, a visual check for obvious cracks or leaks in the exhaust pipe. Then it moves on to checking related systems. Is the air-fuel mixture right? Is the ignition timing okay? And finally, it gets into detailed electrical checks on parts like the sensors, the coils, and the injectors. And this gives you a sense of just how hands-on this process can get. It's not about just plugging in a scanner and getting an answer. It's about testing individual components one by one, like checking the spark from an ignition coil to rule out every other suspect before you condemn the most expensive part.
So the big thing to remember here is that a trouble code is a starting point,
not a conclusion. Just throwing a brand new catalytic converter at a P0430 code without doing the proper diagnosis is like playing the world's most expensive guessing game. You might get lucky, sure, but you'll probably just end up with a lighter wallet and the exact same problem. So, with this new understanding, the next time that little light pops up on your dash, maybe you can see it a little differently. It's not just a threat to your bank account. It's an invitation to understand how your car works just a little bit better. It's a puzzle, and now you have the first clue to solving it.